Hello. So, if you've been following me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere, you know that I am on this vegan challenge. It's been about 30, no, maybe about 45 days now. Definitely over a month and a half. So, what's prompted me to do this little video is I have a lot of thoughts based on the responses that I'm getting from people, but to sit down and write it is going to take a lot longer than it is to say it. And I'm not really much of a video person, but I'm sitting out front right now, and seems like no time like the present in the door because it's on my mind. So I read a tweet earlier today, and this is something else that got me going. The author of the tweet, was commenting that it's very expensive to eat vegan, and people in poor communities, they can't afford to do it, and that was pretty much the gist of it. So I got to thinking, how about this? Since I started my vegan challenge, the grocery bill has decreased a lot. Because before, when I was on my big protein intake, I was eating the leaner, organic, HMO free chicken breast, and that mess is expensive as well. A bag of beans, if you get them on sale, is like 99 cents. You might be able to get them cheaper. That's a healthier choice of protein, and it's a lot cheaper, and it'll go a lot further. So anyway, when I tell people that I'm vegan, it's like, you do what? You don't eat meat? Oh my God. How are you surviving? I'll show you how I'm surviving. Where's my little button at here? See, I'm not usually doing this. Okay, well, I'll just show you like this. Here's what I eat. See that right there? Yep. That's a Mother Nature shrub. Pluck the leaves off, put some olive oil, some jalapeno peppers, and some garlic, and saute it. Psych, I'm only kidding. I do eat plants, but not the shrubs from out front. I read this book, Russell Simmons' The Happy Vegan, and that really helped me on this journey of mine. People ask me why did I do it? I was never a big meat eater anyway. I gave up red meat in 1994, and I never looked back. That was an easy fix. So after that, it was seafood, chicken, turkey, and that kind of thing, and that was pretty cool. I started bodybuilding, competing in that, needed to increase my protein intake, so I started eating a lot more of chicken breasts, and more seafood, and also like turkey. So I can't say it was any one thing that made me start to think about it, but about 2 years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago, I started a vegan challenge, and I lasted for about a month. I started around February or January, I forget. It was right before the Super Bowl, and we hosted this big old Super Bowl party, and there were all these I had trays of hot wings and chicken, and I really didn't have the willpower. I guess I wasn't ready to do it, because I said heck, and I got down with that chicken. And I thought that get down was going to be temporary, but it wasn't. Slowly but surely, I started going back to eating the chicken and the turkey. Now, at that time, I wasn't giving up the seafood or the dairy. In either case, I went back to enjoying my lovely meats and seafood. So a lot has happened in the past 6 to 9 months. Well, a lot has happened in 2018. Most people who know me, the big thing was My husband retired from his job of 29 years. I retired from my career of 15 years, and we moved 700 plus miles down to Georgia. That's a huge move for us. I've been trying to think, like, what was the thing that made me stop eating the meat? I really don't know. I did watch the movie What the Health. A lot of people were inspired by that movie to give up the meat, but it wasn't that. I don't know. I did start reading Russell Simmons' The Happy Vegan book, but not with the intent to necessarily give up the meat, but just the intent to understand what it meant to be a vegan. I was a little confused by all the terminology. There's the vegan, there's a vegetarian, there's the pescatarian. There's a lot of different types depending on what you eat and what you don't eat. Basically, my goal is to become and to stay a vegan, to no longer eat dairy products, and to stay with a plant-based diet. In his book, he talks about, he tells you how to do it, but then he also talks a lot about the process of raising the animals and what the animals eat and how they're treated. I'm not going into that. That is not what this video is about. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do what I do because it's a personal choice. Just trying to answer some of the questions. So this go round, I decided to just go into it full-fledged, kind of like cold turkey for the cigarette smoker. I decided to eliminate all the dairy, eliminate seafood, and give up the turkey and the chicken, to give it all up. So how's it been going? It's going very, very well. I've had hiccups here and there, and the hiccups are just because sometimes what we eat is automatic and we don't think about it. So I've eaten things like today. I was at this awesome bakery that that's nearby our house called Sweet Brown Sugar, and they had these little tiny mini pies. So I had a little sweet potato pie. Of course, after I ate the pie, I started thinking about it. They use sweet potatoes, but they probably use the egg and milk. So I'm not stressing about that stuff. I'm going to have hiccups, and I have to learn. So yeah, and that little sweet potato pie was the bomb. It was delicious because it wasn't super sweet, and I'm not one for really sweet foods. So it was a little sweet, but everything else was great. The flavor, the texture, and it was a little tiny pie. And after I realized it had milk and probably egg in it, no, I didn't want to puke. That baby was good. So anyway, back to this whole diet thing. So I've been asked, what on earth do you eat? Well, the vegans, hi. Okay, I'm sitting on my front porch, and there's a lot of cars going by, and here it's so funny, it's different from up north. Cars go by, they don't know you, but just about nearly everyone waves. So I've been ignoring a lot of the cars that's going by since I started this video. But that one car that I just waved at, like, they slowed down and would not move until I waved. No, I don't know them, but I waved. So, what else? So people ask me if I'm hungry. Aren't you hungry all the time? Actually, no. I think I'm eating less now because I'm not eating the meat. Now, yes, we know that protein helps you to feel fuller for longer, but so does plant-based protein. So the one tip, the one piece of advice that really is sticking with me is substitute meat with a vegetable. So I'm roasting a lot more vegetables now than I've ever done before. I roast cauliflower, I roast carrots, I roast Brussels sprouts, I will roast string beans, I roast broccoli, I roast asparagus. So I'm roasting a lot of vegetables, and sometimes I'll roast one vegetable in one pan, another one in a different pan, cook them separately because one may take longer to cook, but then combine them in a pan, and then you get this really interesting eclectic burst of flavor. Yum, yum. So instead of having, let's say, brown rice with kale and chicken breast, I will have brown rice, kale, and roasted Brussels sprouts. Or I'm eating a lot more quinoa now because that has a good source of protein in it. So I'll have the quinoa with maybe black beans on top of it. Yummy. So the quinoa and the kale, I'm sorry, the quinoa and the black beans, homemade beans in a crock pot, that's a double dose of protein. And then on the side, I might have something else that I just started cooking is roasted butternut squash. So yeah, all that food, it fills you up. It really does. So when we go out to eat, I was always a big egg omelet person. When we go to a restaurant, instead of ordering a egg or an omelet, I might order, like I did recently, I had steel oats, and then I had some sauteed spinach and garlic on the side. I know, who eats spinach for breakfast, but who made up that rule that vegetables are only for lunch and dinner anyway? So yes, that's what I'm doing. The biggest key is having a plan. You know, you got to really plan your meals. No difference than anyone who's into fitness and bodybuilding. You have to do meal prep. Well, this is no different. You have to do meal prep. I've had a couple small hiccups. About 2 weeks ago, I went to a delicious, oh my God, I went to Doc's Oyster House in Atlantic City. Looked at the menu, didn't see much on there for a vegan. So I did order, oh God, I forget what the dish was, but I remember it had lots of seafood in it. It had lots of scallops in it, and it was delicious. I ended up eating only half of it because it was just too much. And then I didn't finish it. My friend ate the other half. Later on, I looked and I looked at the menu, like, I don't know, about a week or so later, just to see, and there were other options. So the other thing I need to do is make sure when I go out to a restaurant to check out the menu online ahead of time, because sometimes, you know, I get caught up in the moment. You know, the lights are dim, I'm with my friends, we're having wine, and next thing you know, I don't think I see anything, and then of course I need to make sure I have my reading glasses so that I can see. So it's that. But either case, I'm not taking this that serious. We had Thanksgiving dinner. We hosted it at our house. Y'all know we had 31 people. It was wonderful. Beforehand, I made sure there were a lot of vegetables. So I fixed what used to be one of my favorite dishes. I made 5 pounds of baked macaroni and cheese, and I didn't taste not one noodle, and I was okay with that. We had lots of vegetables. There was meat, there was ham, there was turkey, there was chicken. You know, there was a nice variety. There was shrimp, we had salmon, and I didn't eat any of it, and I was okay. Like, I never felt like I really want this, you know, like there was a tug, you know. No, I didn't feel any of that. So I guess that means this go around I'm in a better place mentally. I made the traditional yams with all the sugar and honey and all of that stuff, but then I made another pan of yams for me and anybody else who wanted them that just had cinnamon and nutmeg in it. So it's really not bad, and above all, I feel wonderful. I usually have a cup of coffee in the morning, and historically I've always had a second cup in the afternoon. Since I've been eating differently, I don't, what's that noise? Thought I heard a noise. I don't want no one creeping up on me. But since I gave up the meat and most of the dairy, I say most of the dairy because I still have about this much of my protein. I use the gold standard 100% natural whey protein. That stuff is like $57 for a 5-pound tub. So no, I'm not throwing that out. Like, it's serious, but it's not that serious. So I still have that. I still have some Kerrygold butter. It was funny, I used that recently, and it wasn't until I melted it and put it in the food, and I was like, that might be good butter, but that butter, it still comes from a cow. A grass-fed cow, but it's still a primary source. It's dairy. So anyway, yeah, so I have those little bitty things going on. I found a soy-based creamer for my coffee. I'm not super thrilled about it. It's working, but I am looking for something else. I have to do a trip to Whole Foods, and I'll probably find a better alternative. So anyway, as I was saying, and I've been telling people ask, how do I feel? I feel great. You know, I don't need that second cup of coffee in the afternoon for the most part. If I get a decent amount of sleep at night, I'm pretty, you know, I'm good for the afternoon. I don't need the coffee. I'm eating more fruit, which I'm a big fruit eater anyway. It's funny, Thanksgiving, everybody was sitting around feeling sluggish and stuff, popping their pants. I was cool. I was fine. No, I don't feel like I'm depriving myself. I guess I'm just in a good place right now, and perhaps this is a better time for me. Now, I'm only, you know, like I said, nearly somewhere around 45 days into this challenge. How am I going to be 6 months from now? I don't know, but I'm not thinking that far in advance. I'm just taking one day at a time. You know, I make sure I have plenty of groceries in the house. I have plenty of nuts in the house, cashews. That's my favorite go-to nut. So I have plenty of protein in the house, plant-based protein. And I just take it one day at a time and not get overwhelmed with, oh my God, what about next week? And what about when I go here? What about when I go there? It's like with anything new that you're doing, whether it's an exercise routine, whether it's a new exercise period, you decided to start walking, or you decided to give up alcohol, or you decided to start something else. It takes conscientious and mindful living in order to do it. I also feel like I've got a little bit more clarity now. It could be a combination of things, so I can't say that eating only plants and leaves is helping me to think clearer. But I started another personal challenge, and that is to try to stay present. That's hard for me these days. I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm used to, it's odd because I've gone from working and going to school and, you know, taking our son to practice here and there, to I wake up, I go to the gym, and then the day is completely mine, which is sweet. It's not always going to be that way, but that's how it is right now. So anyway, my challenge was to, you know, I have all this time and I have this to-do list on this app called Trello that a podcast that I listen to referred it. I love it. So I have this whole list of things that I want to do. And what I found is that I have so much time on my hands that I'm not getting anything done. So my challenge to myself is just to be more present in what I'm doing. So if I'm focusing on a very specific task, I'm focusing on that. And I'm talking to myself. I mean, down to being in the shower. You know, my mind starts drifting to Friday. No. Stay present, Tanya. Stay present, Tanya. And this is what I honestly say to myself, sometimes out loud. Of course, nobody's around when I say it out loud, because that would look absolutely ridiculous walking through the grocery store. But that's my challenge. And, you know, if I do it enough, I know it will become more of a natural behavior for me. So that's the goal, is to stay present when I'm talking to people, not thinking about what I'm going to say in response to them. Sorry about that. I don't know why this truck's driving through here right now. Anyway, so that's it. Lastly, another benefit, it sounds really odd, but I feel lighter. Like, not light as in I lost weight, although I have, but lighter in that, I don't know, I don't feel weighted down, maybe. I don't know, it's odd. But overall, I'm feeling better. If you come over to my house to eat, yes, I will feed you meat. If I come over your house, don't feel obligated to, to fix a vegan meal for me. Although when I was visiting my friend last weekend, 2 weekends ago, she was awesome. She made sure she had plenty of fruits and veggies in the house. So that was very nice. But, don't feel like you can't take me out. We can't go out to dinner together. At the same time, if, you're in my inner circle and folks are going out to eat, don't feel like you can't invite me, because I will find something to eat. Okay? So, the last thing someone asked me, so you're giving up alcohol too? No. I like my wine, so I'm not giving up my wine. It's just the dairy and the meat. So, I'll check in again another time when I feel like sitting here talking to a camera. Will update you on my progress. Meanwhile, whatever it is you're trying to do, stay encouraged, stay focused, and surround yourself with people who give you energy and people who give you life. All right. Bye-bye.